Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of Teams Like Boys. I know it's been a long time since the last time we were here, but safe to say a lot of things have happened, Mark. But let's start. Let's start with the first thing: a draw against Fulham, which was very underwhelming for some Brighton fans.
Yeah, and in the pouring down rain as well. So not the best journey home for a lot of those fans afterwards as well. No, the first half I thought was really entertaining from a Brighton perspective. If the ball would have just gone in the net a few more times, it probably would have helped them out. But as it was, it wasn't to be. And I thought, Fulham came with a plan after half time. I thought they were pretty dour in the first half, but in the second half they kind of turned up for the occasion a little bit more and got the goal. And then Brighton just couldn't squeeze in a winner, which was a shame for the home fans. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a theme at the moment for us when we get ourselves in a winning position where we just can't seem to finish the job off that little bit. Everything seems to go right until we get into that final third when we're 1-0 up, and then something just doesn't click or connect.
Yeah.
And it's not even the fact that the defenders are clicking again. It's the fact that I think we overdo it. I think we overthink it sometimes when I just think, just give it to Ferguson, just give him 3 or 4 opportunities and he'll find the net. And he did. He did in the first goal, which was superbly taken, I have to say. It's just, he's such a ridiculously good finisher for someone who's still got a teen at the end of his age. It's almost criminal, the fact he is so well accomplished in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. That record that came out after the game, obviously the first teenager since Wayne Rooney to score double digits in a calendar year in the Premier League, which, the amount of players that have come after Rooney and before Ferguson, it speaks volumes. And I think he's got 9 league games left in order to get. Rooney got 11 in that year, 2005, and Ferguson's got 9 games. I know, he hasn't really played every single minute of every single game, but he's got more than enough time to go and break that record. But no, I agree. I mean, in years gone by, and especially under Graham Potter, it was always a case of, Brighton failing to put the ball in the net for different reasons, just not having the quality in positions and being able to actually get that final touch. But now it almost seems different, doesn't it? There is so much quality in that team and so much attacking quality. And you just think, come on, stop passing around. Maybe just give the ball to Ferguson, because everything he touches in the last 12 months seems to be turning to gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just that frustration that we get in whenever we push ourselves forward, and then sometimes we get ourselves vulnerable in the counter, and then I don't want to slag him off because he's got a brand new contract, and we'll talk about him and his, like, what can we call it, a resurrection in his footballing career. But Jason Steele's pass that led to Palhinha's equaliser, which was a cracking shot as well, it has to be said. Top bins, took the opportunity well, but it just seems that the errors are coming again from the back.
Yeah, and we saw that a little bit at the start of the season. That takes you back to the West Ham game, where there was a couple of slip-ups there and times playing out from the back. And yeah, it's frustrating to see. And I think for fans of clubs that do like to play in this way, and Brighton obviously not the only one in the league that do it, most managers will say, well, we're not changing. This is how we do it. So it is just down to players, which I think puts a lot of unfair pressure on a lot of those individuals, especially ones that, aren't particularly the manager's players, which obviously, Jason definitely isn't one. He's been at the club since 2018 now and barely had a chance, but, it was Roberto that put him in the first place. So he obviously has faith in him and faith that he can carry out the system that he wants to do. But yeah, you're right. It was another mistake. And I know the fans, get on Steely's back quite a lot in times like this. And a new contract, it did surprise me a little bit when I saw the news come in. But I thought it was interesting. David Weir said in his comments, he mentioned how patient, Jason has had to be in order to get his opportunity. So I'm sure he's thrilled with it, and his family are, and everything like that. But yeah, it wasn't the best moment, should we put it, to gift the ball away in the second half on Sunday.
It did amuse me when I saw that comment from David Weir that he had to wait for his moment. We all know that he came in just to get the homegrown quota in. He was 3rd or 4th choice for a good few seasons. And then all of a sudden, De Zerbi just went, right, I'm giving Jason Steele a try. Sanchez is prone to an error. I'm going to give him a chance. And to be fair to him, he's taking his chance really, really well. But you look at what happened in the summer transfer, we got Bart Verbruggen in, who 21 years old. He's young, but he's got room to grow. Obviously, he's not clicked just yet, shall we say, with the style of play yet, the passing. He's a few times he's been a bit shaky, and then he's been prone to give a goal away here or there. I do believe we haven't actually achieved a clean sheet so far this season, which to me just seems a little bit bonkers.
Oh, there was the Ajax clean sheet.
Oh yeah, the Ajax clean sheet. Yes,
but just one out of about 14 games or so. What?
In the Premier League, I should have said, be more specific then. But again, like Verbruggen's shown promise, but he's just not there yet. And De Zerbi seems to always fall on Steele anyway. So he's such a good player for the squad. He's not someone that's just ticking a few boxes for the admin. He's someone that actually can affect change and put in a good shift in when he can. It's just there's been a few times where it's just been so frustrating because the defense definitely deserved the clean sheet, but somehow, some way, we just seem to just gift these opportunities, even when we're in a comfortable winning position. What was the stat I saw? We're the first club this season to score 10 and concede 10.
That's it, yeah.
As well, which is mental. At one point, we're like the highest goal scorers in the league, but then we also had the leakiest defense as well. Which, when you look at the games, when you look at the football, you don't think that this defense is prone to an error or prone to a goal. It is a pretty competent back four and goalkeeper to boot as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's, you say highest scorers and most conceded, and you would expect that what are the hallmarks of teams that do that? It's kind of, like completely open. It's almost like a bizarre mismatch of a team, but that isn't Brighton in so many ways. They can be incredibly regimented, incredibly structured. The hallmarks of their attacking game are exactly that, are to stay in shape and cause the opposition to kind of move out and then attack those spaces that are left. So you're right, on the face of it, they don't seem like kind of chaotic side that will be doing that. So then it does come down to, there are goals that happen on the counter and things like that. And that is a result of pushing high up the pitch and trying to play that energetic attacking football. But you're right, there are moments where it's just individual errors and it's just basic moments that are really costing them. And I don't know how many times now I've read quotes or heard players or heard De Zerbi himself saying this season about the difficulty of playing more regularly and changing his squad and things like that. But I think there is only so far that argument goes until you say, these are mistakes that aren't being made because the players are tired. It doesn't look that way, or because, the system isn't working. It's a lot of individual errors. So, cutting those out is going to be really important. Luckily, Brighton haven't really fallen away or anything as such. There haven't been any, barring the Aston Villa game, there hasn't been any disasters really. So for now, it's kind of keep on keeping on, I think, for De Zerbi, and make sure that, fingers crossed, as we get into this kind of really busy period, those mistakes just iron themselves out, and you put it down to having a lot of new players in the team and a lot of young players in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt he'll be wanting a response over at Goodison Park, a place where he's got a bit of fond memories from last season, but different manager altogether. He faced him at the Amex, which was just a self-implosion that can only be described there. But before I actually go and talk about the Everton match, I just want to get your thoughts on Palhinha. Now, Palhinha, obviously the goal scorer, he got the equaliser, but earlier on, a lot of people on Twitter seem to think that he should have got his marching orders, should have had an early team bath. What were your thoughts on that moment? Did you see the replays at all, the clips online?
I saw the replays, and obviously you take everything with a pinch of salt when it's slowed down to within an inch of its life. I do get that. My initial reaction, which is what you can really go on, my initial reaction was that it was a booking, but I didn't personally think it was a sending off. It just had to be him to score the goal. I mean, it always is in those kind of scenarios. But yeah, in real-time reaction, I wasn't certain it was a sending off. I can see both sides of the coin, to be honest with you. Palhinha is a player that, he's had a few. He's only been in English football for just over 12 months, but he's already had a couple of red cards, and he is a player that very much plays on the edge. So it is within his character to kind of put in those kind of those challenges, things like that. But yeah, based on the moment I saw it, I didn't really think it was sending up. I think it would have spoiled the game a little bit, but I can see the frustrations and why people wanted to see him. What did you think?
Yeah, when I saw it in real time, I thought it didn't look like as if it was going to be one that was going to be a red card. It didn't look like he was leading too much with the elbow. It didn't look like as if he used excessive force, which is the key
Yeah, that's
criteria
it.
for,
It's
for the
the
red
force
card.
of it. Yeah,
It was verging on dangerous play, which, if you're a football nerd like me and a qualified ref, you will know that that's a yellow card. That's unsporting behaviour. That's a warning, basically. But VAR don't look at yellow cards, regardless of that situation. The ref deemed it fair, so I think Gross would feel a bit hard done by. I think anyone who gets struck in the head and they
yeah.
see an elbow going towards them, they want to see the red card. They get angry about it. So it just like you say, it's just the writing's on the wall, isn't it? As soon as he's got that
It has to be
luck
him.
in
Yeah,
him, he's going to take that chance, and he did well with it. It's just, again, it's just frustrating that we're just bringing in those chances, just not capitalizing on it. And I think that's the main thing we really need to focus on, rather than, was this a red card? Was this a yellow card? The fact that Howard Webb hasn't apologized for it, or
yeah,
any statement from the PMGOL, I think that says a lot, really. I think, really, by the letter of the law, it should have been a yellow, but in terms of a red card, it's just not,
yeah.
which is
I agree.
frustrating as a Brighton fan, because I would like to go ahead and moan and blame someone else, but at the end of the day, it's not the case. But let's move on, because, like I said, we go back to Goodison Park, and obviously anyone who was there on the New Year's trip, that was great fun. 4-1. De Zerbi ball is in full swing here, and all of a sudden there's this belief about going into Europe. Then we welcome them to the Amex, and it's just a self implosion, and we lose 5-1 to Sean I love goals Deitch, which just seems it seems typical, really, at that point. But we're going into this match, and things are clicking at Everton with Sean Dyche, it's fair to say. 3 wins in their last 4 in all competitions. They lost in the Merseyside derby, and they would have felt a bit hard done by with some of the decisions that they made. If you believe everything you see on Twitter and social media and how people reacted to that match. What's your feeling going into this match, Mark?
I love games against Everton. I've in every season that I've been kind of in press boxes in the Premier League. Goodison, it's the worst press box in the Premier League. I'm sure a lot of journalists will tell you that. It's the tightest row of benches you've ever been in. I am looking forward to the new stadium, but it's a fantastic stadium to go to, and it's always a good game. I love the crowd there. And it's no different. I think this year it's going to be a really tasty fixture. You mentioned the 2 results there from last year. Chalk and cheese in the performances. At the Amex, Brighton made Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Dwight McNeil turn into, kind of Messi and Ronaldo at points. They looked so good in that game, I remember. But no, I think it's going to be a really challenging one. Like you said, their form at the moment is good. They won their cup game in midweek fairly convincingly as well. I thought that was a good result for them. So they'll probably be up for it. But then, Brighton have had a week off, which is, how many times have you been able to say that in the last couple of months? Not very many at all. So fingers crossed that bit of rest and recuperation does them well, and hopefully we could see another bit of De Zerbi ball back up on Merseyside this weekend.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that the form that's going in for Everton is softening the blow with everything that's gone off the pitch. Bill Kenwright sadly passed away. Easily one of the top blokes in the football hierarchy, and he's almost the last of a dying breed, really. He's just someone who just knows football, loves football, and a gentleman at that as well, which is very sad to hear about his passing. But also, as well, everything else that's going on at Everton, the financial fair play and talks of a points deduction, is not something that you want to hear. And as things stand, Everton have 10 points on there, 5 points clear of the 3 newly promoted sides who sit in the relegation zone pretty comfortably as well, has to be said. So I suppose the question is going to be, like, where can you see Everton's future going at the moment?
I think it all hinges on these massive decisions off of the pitch, which is, it's not where you want to be in as a football fan, as a player, as a manager, anything like that. You want to be able to dictate the future of your club based on the performances you give out on the pitch. So that's not a fantastic situation to be in. The ownership, the move to the stadium, these are all massive moments for a club at any point, let alone all coming in the same kind of intense period. And the worry about the points deductions, the financial fair play. It's all coming to a boil at one point for Everton, and Sean Dyche is a brave man for taking on that job. I personally think, after seeing so many managers go in there and fail to kind of keep hold of the reins, fall out with people, the toxicity of the fan base when they turn, they've got every right to do that. But like I said, I've been to Goodison quite a few times before and seen how, I've seen owners not be able to turn up to Goodison and board members not be able to turn up to Goodison because there was threats about their safety at the games and this kind of stuff. So it's a lot. It's a really difficult situation going on up there. You just got to hope that, for their sakes, they can produce enough results on the pitch to keep them in the league, because that's that's going to be the biggest thing for them, isn't it? And I've said this from the start of the season. I think there are 3 teams that are worse than them. And I think you've seen from the recent results, and they've got an experienced manager, that they should be okay, and they've got the players in there that can keep them up. But you never know with football, do you? So if all this kind of stuff comes to a head in the new year, and we get headlines saying there's points deductions and stuff, then it'll be a whole different kind of situation. But all Brighton can do is focus on themselves, really, and go up there and try and come back with 3 points, which would be the first 3 points since September, if I'm not mistaken, in the Premier League. It's 4 games without a win now, isn't it, in the league?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's it's a bit of a unwanted run at the moment, but I think that's easy to see if you just look at the results. I mean, the Fulham match we should have won easily. The Man City game, we could have got a draw out of that, considering how well we played in that second half. City invited us, and we just tried to seize on that opportunity. We were just very unlucky with the opportunities again. But then again, as well, you've got treble winners there, and a ridiculous defensive back 4 there. There was a lot there that went against us, to be fair. I'll tell you one thing that I feel like we are missing looking into this form. We are missing Julio and Ciso big time. I feel like he is someone that can just bring in that little bit of spark, that bit of dazzle in the midfield, and just pinging it in top bins, and just having that fearlessness, that encouragement that you need when you go out. When you look at how Ansu Fati's trying to fit in, he has his moments, which is fantastic, and we saw that in the Ajax match. But I think that's why we're seeing him, why he's been out on loan from Barcelona, because he's not being able to do it every single game. And if he was, he wouldn't be with us, being realistic there. But I think if we could try and get him to be a bit more like how he was against Ajax, then every single match, then we're going to be laughing. But I just feel like when Enciso's back, and it's great to see him in training gear in the videos and the social media posts as well. Hopefully he'll be back some point in the new year, late December time. But when it gets a choice between those two, I've got to side with Enciso, just because he's someone that's just seems a bit more fit. He's got no fear on the ball at the moment, and I think Fati's just overthinking things a little bit too much. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was interesting to mark kind of De Zerbi's responses to a lot of the injuries that have happened over the last couple of months. When Enciso got injured, he felt that, and I think the timing of it obviously was difficult right at the start of the season and that kind of thing. But you could see it in the press conferences. He brought it up quite a few times without even being prompted about. Enciso would often say how much of a big blow that was. I know that the severity of the injury is probably worse than a lot of the other ones that have picked up since then, but yeah, he seemed to recognise straight away how big a piece of the jigsaw Enciso really is to this Brighton team, and I think we have seen that in the way that the attacking unit has kind of clicked and clunked a little bit over the last few months. And you're right with Fati. I think it was certainly a marquee signing in terms of getting him. It was a real coup to bring him in. I think that he doesn't seem like a player that is phased too much by maybe expectation and things like that. So I don't think that affects his game. I just think that, he's not quite found the right part or found the right position or the right kind of workaround to get the most out of him in this Brighton team. And hopefully, yeah, like you said, that Ajax performance was, he really showed it is in bursts. It's not, for 90 minutes at this point. It is in bursts, but they were really good, weren't they? The way that he kind of interplayed and the spaces he found, the little pockets he was able to get the ball into, I thought was really good. Yeah, hopefully he can get in, because if you think about this team now, if Fati's on song and you add Enciso into that with his creativity, then the second half of the season at least could look, brilliant, which is where you want it to be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we finish off, we're talking about our score predictions. I just want to talk about the situation that we've got at the moment with our injuries. We talked a lot about Julio and Enciso there, but we also have, well, long-term injuries in Danny Welbeck and Solly March as well, which is gutted to say the least. Obviously, March getting that knee injury against Man City, and if you watch the highlights, you can actually hear him say, my knee's gone," which just doesn't, you just don't want to hear that, really, especially for Solly March, because I swear every time he starts to get good, then his knee goes, and it's not even the fact that he's just, someone's just decided to wrap 6 studs around his knee. He's just so unbelievably unlucky, and he's such a quality player and just shined over on under De Zerbi and knocking on England's doorstep once again, but he's almost so close yet so far now for him, and I feel so sorry for him, because getting two injuries in your knees is just it's far from ideal, even in the modern day with all the sports science and sports medicine you have in the world. It's just so unlucky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a killer, and yeah, seeing that video, there was so this is something that I wanted to watch, but when I was watching it, I was like kind of not cringing out, but kind of grossed out a little bit. There was some sports scientist that had shown exactly, because you can see the moment that the body turns, his knee shifts, and someone had been like, "Here's the sign that this is happening. This is the movement. This is and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible." And I've not worked with players, but kind of spoken to a lot of players who have had this injury before in the past, and it's not nice, is it? And it's one of those ones that, yeah, you can straight away, like you said, Solly knew straight away, and seeing him stretch it off and in tears, it's just and like you said, it's not even because of a horrible challenge that's gone wrong. It's just a kind of freak accident, if you will. So no, that's not great. And then obviously to lose Danny Welbeck as well, which I think Danny Welbeck, one of these kind of evergreen players who seems to be able to lift the mood, not only in the dressing room but on the pitch as well. I think he's a fantastic part of this Brighton team, so that's a massive blow. And then with Enciso as well, and like you said, the injury list has not been helpful. Perv as well on at fullback, Tariq Lamptey. The list has just gone on and on. We've lost Milner for a time. It's been a really difficult period for Brighton, and I think they probably should be commended if they can come out of this with still being in the competitions and still advancing where they want to do this season.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on Tariq Lamptey and Pervis Estupiñán affecting the back four as well, and Jakob Moder, who has been out for such a long period of time, but he's getting minutes under his belt in the under-23s. I think that's probably almost like a silver lining, if you will, with the current injury situation for the Albion, is the fact that someone of Jakob Moder's capabilities and abilities is such a warm welcome to De Zerbi. I almost feel like a new signing to him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you've seen it as well with some of the youth players that they're getting kind of minutes in around the squad as well. The De Zerbi can't physically name an entire Premier League squad of players that he thinks are first team standards. So there are a lot of opportunities, like you said, and with this fixture list that's coming up, it's not going to get any easier if that squad, like we said, quite a few of those players are long-term injuries. So you would hope to see a few new faces in the team over the next kind of weeks and months, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, look, we'll go back to the whole Everton match. I want to hear your prediction, Mark. You're not going to be joining us on the opposition viewpoint later on this week, but I've got to hear what are you hoping for going into this match?
Well, I mean, we spoke before the podcast started about clean sheets, and there aren't many of them. There's not many at all this season. So I've got to go both teams to score. But I am backing a Brighton win. I want them to end this little Everton run. I want them to get their first win in the Premier League for a couple of games. So I'm going to say 3-1, I think, for Brighton.
3-1, going bold. I'm feeling it's going to be a nervy 2-1 win for the Albion. I think it's going to be a nervy last 10-15 minutes over at Goodison Park, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to see how they cope with it. But I think De Zerbi is going to get the lads over the line for that one for sure. But guys, thank you so much for listening to us. Be sure to always like and subscribe on YouTube channel and whatever podcast platform you listen to for this stuff. We'll be back again later on this week speaking to someone from the Liverpool Echo. We've got to know all things Everton and what on earth is going on there off the field as well. Mark, as ever, pleasure talking to you guys, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you.
And take care, guys. And as always, up the Albion.